Okay. So we're going to do a review for forces before we take our quiz. Okay. So when we're talking about forces, the first thing is you have to draw, if there's not a picture already, a picture of what's going on. Okay. So let's use the scenario. Let's use an apple falling from a tree. Okay. So the first thing that you would do is you would draw your tree and your apple. All right. Second thing you do is you define your system. Define your system, that means I'm going to choose one thing in this whole thing, and I'm going to do a free body diagram of that. So we're going to choose the apple. Okay? What we're going to do is we need to draw our vectors of our forces. Now, if you remember, vectors have lines, right? The length of the line tells you how much force is there. The arrow shows what direction. The different types of forces that we have. Does anybody know any of the forces? What are some of the forces?
G, F, A, F, F.
Okay, Fg, which is gravity, right? What other one do we have?
Force friction.
Force friction. Force friction would be something like if you're dragging something or something slowing down. We also have the opposite of force gravity.
F, E, F normal.
Fn, which is the normal force.
N, F, A, force applied.
Fa, force applied.
F, G, force tension.
Ft, force tension. And spring force, right?
Yes.
Fs, which is spring force. Okay. So once we find our system, the next thing we do is we draw our dot in the middle. We draw our forces. We will always have force normal and force gravity, right? Force gravity on the apple by the ground, right? This up here is force normal on the apple by the air, okay? Now, if this apple is falling, are they balanced? No, right? So this one needs to be long, and that one needs to be short. Do you agree? Is there any other forces that are involved in that? No. So for this one, my net force is going in that direction, correct? Now, on your quiz, I would prefer you to put numbers. Okay, so I'm going to put numbers. I'm going to say 9.8 is my newtons, is my gravitational force, because it's always that, right? And I'm going to say my normal force is only, let's say, 3.8 is my normal force in newtons. What is my net force? What do I do here? EJ, what do I do here? If we have forces that are on the opposite direction, what do we do with those?
You will have retake.
Subtract them, yes.
If you are 11th grade student with the last name initial,
If the forces are in the same direction, what do we do? Add them. Okay? So this one's in the opposite directions, right? So we would say 9.8 minus 3.8, which is what? 9.876. 6 newtons going in that direction. Does that make sense to you? That's what you're going to have to do today. You have to draw the picture of for the quiz. You need to define the system by doing the circle, remember? You need to do your vectors. Remember your length and your direction. Here are your forces that you have. If they're opposite forces, you subtract. If they are the same force, you add. On this quiz, there's no numbers, okay? Gravity is always going to be 9.8. One more question. If we were diagramming another system, and let's do this system. Let's say a girl is hanging by a rope. Both arms. Okay? So the girl is our system. So what is the force that's going down? Force gravity on the girl by the earth. What force is keeping her up?
G and F E.
So we have force tension, right? Because they're ropes, right? But here we go. They go this direction. And they go that direction. Think of you hanging up by two ropes. If you're using one hand, you're using both your muscles, right? If you're using separate hands, half your muscles are going this way, half your muscles are going that way. Do you understand? So based on that, force tension on the girl by the rope. Now, if she's standing still and just hanging, is it a balanced force or unbalanced force? Does everybody agree? Do this if you think it's balanced. Do this if you think it's unbalanced. Yeah, balanced. Balanced forces, what do we do with this that we didn't do for that one? If a force is balanced, remember what we do? We do the line, right? This line, that, and that, because they cancel out. These vectors need to be half what that vector is. So I'm going to change that vector to that. Are you ready? If this is 9.8, what would be those forces in newtons? What's half of 9.8? Huh? 3.4? Okay. Now that's 6.8, right? What are we going to do? You have your calculators? Take your calculators out. Tell me what you got.
4.9.
There we go. And listen, that would have been my first thought. I'm right there with you. You said 4.9, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So if they're both 4.9, this is 9.8. My net force is what? Is balanced. Do you understand? Everybody good?